Hello and welcome to Dingoes Ate My Podcast. I'm Paul.
And I'm Dave.
And this week we'll be discussing the episode of Angel, Orpheus. This episode originally aired March 19th, 2003, attracting approximately 3.6 million viewers. Alrighty. We'll do video games last because that will probably be the longest thing we'll be talking about because, was this a week. So let us start off with the number one song in America this week, Dave.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was the same from last week. Thought I had it, but slipped from my mind.
You're correct. It is Into Club by 50 Cent.
Yeah.
Alrighty, and number one movie in America this week.
Movie-wise, though, nothing immediately springing to mind at around that time.
It is surprisingly still bringing down the house with just over $22 million this week.
Oh.
Which,
Again, not much of a drop from the first week, or?
The first week was just over 31.1 million.
Oh, okay.
So, not a terrible drop-off considering that A, it's not a very good movie, and B, it's a comedy, and I don't think, as a general rule, comedies tend to not have legs.
Supposedly, depending on time and just sort of the situation with what's going on in the world, it might have just kind of been the perfect storm of, oh, hey, this supposedly mediocre movie is doing good.
I think it's also a matter of, like, it's March in 2003. I don't know what else was playing at the theater.
True.
I wonder if I can find that. Oh, wait, I can. This is for like a little later. Theater listings, New York Times. Can I actually... Wait. Well, that's not helpful. Oh, wait. Oh, that's February. That doesn't help. Anyway, moving along to video games, and... Oh, boy, this is a big week, Dave.
Duly noted.
So,
Oh, sheesh.
this episode released on March 19th. On the day this episode came out, there are a couple of bangers.
Understandable. Like, I think there's one particular one that, when I sort of heard you say March 2003, it was kind of like, there was a big game that came out, and I can't remember which.
There were a few big games. So on March 19th, if you had a GameCube, you could pick up Bloody Roar 3.
Yes.
Which, I mean, some people probably like the Bloody Roar games. I don't think I've ever played one.
No, I think I forced you to play through at least one of them that was on the GameCube. I think it was
okay.
the advanced version that was technically 3, but with a couple of additions.
Okay, I don't remember this, but that's possible. Also on March 19th, if you had a PlayStation 2, you could pick up Mobile Light Force 2, which I think this game allegedly came to North America, but it seems like it was more of a Japanese thing.
Yeah.
Also on March 19th, if you were a PC gamer, you could pick up Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six 3 Raven Shield, a game that I loved playing.
Supposed neat. It was a case of I somewhat understand the series, but it's been so long. I've never been inside of the specific bubble, and nowadays there's not much news from them.
Yeah, unfortunately, they haven't had a, like... I want to say that there hasn't been a Rainbow Six game in a while. Has there?
I'd say a good couple of years, I believe the case is.
Rainbow Six. Let's take a look here. Rainbow Six. When was the last release? Oh, no, there was a game called Rainbow Six Extraction in 2022. Oh, I think they moved into making it like it's a cooperative online game, which is why I don't care about it anymore.
Meh.
Anyway, The big game for this day, though, as much as I thought it should have been Rainbow Six 3, if you had a Game Boy Advance.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, it's Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire.
Yes, the one where I had no interest in it.
Really? Okay. Yeah, I mean,
Well, it kind of goes into my whole life story of Pokemon and all the particular things that happen with it, which we do not have time for. This is not the show for that.
It is not. And also, it's a Pokemon game, so I never played it.
Meh.
Because I have played exactly one Pokemon game to completion. Anyway, moving along. On March 20th, the very next day, if you had a PS2, you could pick up Pride FC Fighting Championships, which is a dumb title for a game.
Was it at least decently good, or was it kind of mediocre for supposedly wrestling game?
So Pride was a like an MMA company.
Mm.
I don't think I've ever played this game. Although it seems to have gotten pretty decent reviews just by looking at like IGN scores and stuff.
Mm.
But yeah, I love how the game is called Pride FC Fighting Championships when Pride FC stands for Pride Fighting Championship. So that's a good title.
Meh.
Anyway, moving along, March 24th, if you had a PS2, you could pick up a game called Amplitude,
Okay.
which looks like some kind of a music game. It's made by this little company that you've probably never heard of called Harmonix. I'm sure
Ah.
they would never go on to do anything.
Oh, sweetie, in the next couple of years.
Yeah, yeah.
But again, actually, I don't think within the Angel series, but for anyone who knows, they know.
I mean, no, the big game that they release, I think it'd be right near the end of the series if it comes out in time.
Hmm.
But yeah, who cares? They're the company that made Guitar Hero and Rock Band.
Yeah.
Also on March 24th, if you were a PC gamer, you could pick up this little game called Rayman 3 Hoodlum Havoc,
Neat for them.
which
The
had
PC
already...
finally gets the game on the thing.
Yes, it had been out for a little while on other consoles. Also on March 24th, because Nintendo was like, fuck it, it's been 5 days since we released a banger, let's just put out The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker.
Ah, yes, when all that particular stuff happened. Because, oh boy, that was a thing.
Yeah. So, you've played Wind Waker, right?
I have.
I am not a Legend of Zelda person. I never owned the Wind Waker. I did play a demo of it a lot, though. But it's always one of the games that I've wanted to play, because I love the art style.
Mm-hmm. And it's one of the things that, at the time, everyone and their grandma despised.
Oh, I was one of them.
But mostly because when they first showed up concepts of they were making a Zelda game, they took the concept of the best Zelda game ever made and just updated it a little bit more with what was on the GameCube, with the character Link from Smash Brothers. And again, that looked cool. And then they showed them Toon Link.
Yeah, no, I was somebody who was like, what the hell is this? Cartoony bullshit. And then now I'm like, make more games that look like Wind Waker.
Exactly, since it's a case of it's an art style that can withstand the test of time.
It really does, because it still looks amazing today.
You play it on the GameCube and it still looks decent.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Anyway, we should move on. March 25th, if you had a GameCube, you could pick up Batman Dark Tomorrow. Which,
was this one of the animated Batman, or was this the Batman Beyond series?
I don't think it's technically either. I just know this game was fucking terrible.
Oh, sadness.
Yeah, it's definitely not a Batman Beyond game. They might... I don't think it has anything to do with the animated series. I don't remember. I just remember being like, why is this game so fucking bad? Anyway, March 25th, if you were still plugging away with the PS1, you could pick up Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Battle 22.
because it was a thing.
It certainly was. And it was also like a 95 game in Japan that came out here in 2003. So that's fun.
Yeah, kind of those cases of, hey, we have game releases here. Let's see what we can do for game releases outside of the country with all their time restraints and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm guessing that somebody had a contract that said they had to release X number of PS1 games, and they were like, fuck it. Let's
Yeah,
just port this over. Anyway, also on March 25th, if you had a PS2, you could pick up a little game called Dynasty Warriors 4.
yes. So it is a bit of a case of, I somewhat understand the series. I do not understand the differences between the multitude of them.
Yeah, I've always been interested in Dynasty Warriors, but I've never played one.
Yeah, but sadly, it was kind of a case of I actually played a Dynasty style game that was an offshoot of the series and then jumped into the series. And just as a tip for anyone else, don't do that. Try to jump in with at least a decent game that's been released recently and or somewhat nowadays, just to get past the old console bias and just old janky controls.
Good to know. Anyway, moving along, still on March 25th, if you had a PS2, you could pick up Jurassic Park Operation Genesis, which had already come to the PC a little while prior.
Supposed neatness, though I'm questioning. Like, my only one thought was an arcade style Jurassic Park game, but I question whether or not those came to the consoles.
No, this was more like a roller coaster tycoon style thing,
Ah, I see.
like a building management sim kind of thing. Yeah. March 25th, if you had a PS2, you could pick up Primal.
Yes, a particular title that I've done bits of research into, but never actually managed to play.
Okay, it seems to have pretty divisive reviews. Some people loving it, some people hating it. I've never played it.
It kind of has its particular style, but it's kind of taking an interesting concept and trying to build a story, but not succeeding too much.
Okay, March 25th, if you had a Game Boy Advance, you could pick up Samurai Jack, the Amulet of Time.
Neats.
Were you ever into Samurai Jack?
Was able to at least watch some of the episodes whenever they were actually on TV. And I believe there was a game that came out on the GameCube a year or so later that I managed to play.
Okay. Yeah, I've never, I don't, oh, I think I've seen one or two episodes, but that is about the extent I know of Samurai Jack. It came back recently though, and apparently the return was quite well as well, or quite good as well.
Indeed. Indeed. And despite the series being over, there has been very good work being done by the people that worked on the series. If I remember correctly, their newest series they've been working on is Primal, though I believe that's also finished as well.
Oh yeah, the guy who created Samurai Jack has created a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, he did a series called Primal, I think it was. I think you're right. Let me just pull it up here. I think it was called that. Samurai Jack. He also did. Oh no, it says it's still ongoing.
Okay.
So maybe there's another season coming. I don't know. Um, I cannot. Oh, future. Oh, apparently he intends to do more seasons.
Neat.
He also worked on Batman the Animated Series and The Critic and Dexter's Lab. He created Dexter's Lab.
No, it's completely understandable.
So anybody who creates Dexter's Lab is okay in my book because that's a great show. Anyway, we're spending too much time on Samurai Jack.
Indeed.
Moving along to the final game for the week. On March 25th, if you had a Game Boy Advance, you could pick up Ed, Ed, and Eddie Jawbreakers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you ever watch Ed, Ed, and Eddie?
Little bits. Again, it's kind of cases of it was a thing that was on the television, but I wasn't exactly paying attention to it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen an episode of Ed, Ed, and Eddie.
Like the very most that I actually remember about the series are the 3,527 specific meme-oriented jokes that people have made up about it.
Okay. Yeah, the most exposure I ever had to Ed, Ed and Eddie was they had a Flash like wrestling game that I played a few times, and then got very mad and went no, no.
On the one hand, I'm not surprised, but on the other hand, yeah, no, I'm just not surprised. It's a thing that I wouldn't be surprised someone created.
Yeah, no, it was like it was like, oh shit, I gotta see if I can find that. Let's see if it's still available somewhere. Holy crap. It might actually still be available online.
Supposed neatness. Hopefully, it doesn't break your wallet.
No, no, it's like it's a free Flash game.
Okay, with those.
Yeah, yeah, no, it was one of those things. Oh, it's just like videos you can watch. Oh, I don't want to do that. Anyway,
Mm,
let's move on to this episode.
indeed, because, ugh, this is a bit of an episode.
It definitely is. Okay. Um, hmm. Okay. So let's start off with the title Orpheus.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about Orpheus?
Well, it's a marvelous case of the show explains it. It brings back the concept from the previous episode that Orpheus is a specific magical drug that a human can take, and then a vampire drinks from the human to also get intoxicated.
Oh, okay, I meant more like the Greek mythology.
Oh, more so like that. Um, yes, the name rings a bell. I'm not sure if I'm getting this right with that one or if I'm getting it mixed up with Odysseus.
So Orpheus was a musician who followed his dead wife into the underworld to beg for her return.
Yes, I do remember that story. I think I had it mixed up with another one though.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice for a title, but we'll get into that a little later.
Indeed.
Alrighty. So we start off with after drinking from Faith, Angelus pulls away in shock as she flashes back to earlier when she injected herself with a drug stolen from a vampire junkie at the Demon Bar. Angelus and Faith both collapse unconscious. Gunn drags Angelus's body to the Hyperion Hotel where he and Connor shackle Angelus securely in the basement cage. Wesley finds barely alive Faith, brings a barely alive Faith to one of the hotel bedrooms. Knowing Faith injected herself with Orpheus, an enhanced psychedelic drug that poses a serious threat to her life, Lauren berates Wesley for allowing Faith to purposely get bit by Angelus. Connor updates Cordelia on Faith and Angelus' conditions. Meanwhile, Cordelia brutally shoves Connor into a wall in response for his constant talk about Faith, in that he mentioned Faith twice.
Yeah, kind of a little bit of an overreaction, honestly.
Just a little bit. He is shocked, and she tries to cover her behavior by blaming it on the pregnancy and crazy hormones. I'm sure that's all it is.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm just certainly sure.
Downstairs, Connor shouts at Fred and Wesley about the need for killing Angelus when Willow Rosenberg appears at the door, suggesting that she's a better alternative, which I agree because Willow is awesome.
Willow is always awesome.
This is true. Fred called Willow for help since she's the only one alive who has successfully re-ensouled Angel. Willow wants to see Cordelia again, and Connor reluctantly takes her upstairs. As Willow talks about the difficulties associated with re-ensouling Angelus, Cordelia secretly reaches for a large knife under her pillow and tries to get Willow close enough to strike. Willow realizes if they break the jar, they can avoid all the complications and free the soul. Willow rushes out of the room in time to unknowingly avoid the knife being thrown at her, which hits the door instead. Also, can I say that I want more scenes of Willow and Fred together because they were great.
It was. It was very much fun.
It was very good. In their shared coma, Angelus and Faith witness the 1920s version of Angel rescue a small puppy from an oncoming car.
Yeah, and Angelus is just not happy about it.
He's pissed.
It's just like, oh my god, why? She's right there.
It's so good. Angelus is infuriated at being subjected to this memory again, and Faith realizes with glee that they're experiencing Angel's good deeds of the past. Next, okay, a hippie angel walks into a diner and selects Mandy on the jukebox, which already Angel's hair is... I don't know how to explain it, other than find this scene and watch it because it's incredible.
Indeed.
It's not a mullet.
Yeah, no, it's just typical long shoulder length hair that was just messy.
No. There's nothing typical about this.
For the time, yes. Yes, there was.
No, I've seen, like, long hair is fine, but this looked fucking weird. Anyway, as Angelus complains to Faith about watching Angel's self-induced misery, a man barges into the diner and asks for money, but shoots the cashier when he doesn't react quickly enough. The shooter runs away, and Angel struggles with his desire to feed on the cashier, which wins out. The bite marks on Dream Faith's neck begin to bleed, and she realizes that Angel could have saved the cashier. Angelus watches on as Angel suffers with the guilt of feeding, enjoying Faith's pain as well. Okay, before Willow can begin her spell to locate the jar holding Angel's soul, the Beast Master's deep voice screams a warning to stop. Willow's magic overpowers the Masters, which is interesting, and Willow begins her spell as Cordelia works counter magic from the bedroom. When Connor breaks Cordelia's concentration by trying to enter the bedroom, Willow is able to magically shatter the jar. Using the orb of Thessala, Willow and Fred begin the ritual that will give Angel back his soul. Dreamfaith finds herself in a dark alley with Angelus again, watching past Angel, having forsaken all human ties, feed on a rat. Shortly prior to the events of the 1996 flashback in Becoming Part 1, wherein the Demon Whistler almost literally dragged Angel from the gutter, commenting on his rat-feeding habits in the process, and set him up on the path to his supposed destiny as Buffy's ally and a champion of the powers that be. For those of you who haven't seen Buffy, that sentence made no sense.
Yeah.
Just look, some shit happened in the past.
Yeah. Most assuredly, yes.
In a twist, past Angel turns and addresses the twosome. Angel and Angelus face off and begin to exchange blows. As Angel convinces Faith that life is worth living and that she has to wake up, Faith disappears. When Connor finally breaks into her barricaded bedroom, Cordelia smashes a lamp over his head, then pretends to have not known it was him. Cordy deceives Connor to thinking Willow's magic is evil and threatens their unborn child. I mean, Willow does have a history of doing not great things with magic.
Yeah.
Although, I guess Connor wouldn't know that. He wasn't there when she flayed a bitch.
Yeah. Since she kind of chats with Cordelia about that, but we'll most likely get to it. But yeah, Connor. That Connor.
Yeah. She tells him that he has to kill Angelus to protect their family. Willow completes the restoration spell, pulling Angelus and Angel into the same body. When Faith wakes up and rushes downstairs to the basement in time to stop Connor from staking Angel, she begins to beat up Connor until Angel wakes up and stops the fight. Later, Faith tells Angel that she is going back to Sunnydale with Willow to aid Buffy and her allies. After they leave, a very pregnant Cordelia comes downstairs and shocks the gang with the serious trouble they all have to deal with.
Yeah.
Yes. So, what did we think of this episode?
So, on the one hand, just, oh boy, all the particular things kind of coming together, but things kind of looking on the upper end, but still kind of with all the stuff that's been happening. But additionally, Willow's in this episode, and it's always fun.
Yes, Willow, again, for anybody who didn't listen to our Buffy series, Willow is my favorite character. And it's not close.
Yeah.
And anybody who disagrees that Willow is not the best character, you can just leave now.
You're perfectly fine for having your completely wrong opinion.
Yeah, yeah. You're allowed. You're entitled to your opinion, but you're wrong, and I hate you.
But yes, just additionally, all the marvelous interactions with her and Fred kind of the word escapes me, but just they make good friends. And it's just like Fred. It is all nice. And then Will's discussion with Cordelia and whatnot. It's like, so how have you been? I've been a higher power. It's like, yeah, I kind of turned evil, flayed a guy.
It's like, what? Oh yeah, I guess you only technically flayed one person.
Yeah, flayed a guy. Almost destroyed the world.
Yeah, nothing new. Um, yeah, I like this episode. This episode was fun.
Indeed, and just the competition between the two, with Willow fighting against the Beast and the Kansas, and the Beast even says, like, man, if I just had a bit more time, this wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, and I like having like Willow coming in as a nice kind of link back to Buffy, and again, she's a fun character to bring in for an episode.
Mm-hmm.
And also just like I love the like flashback stuff with like Angel and Faith going back into his past, like seeing him in the 20s and stuff. I think that's fun too.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting having a little bit more, not so much seeing the specific past, but having people not so much interact, but kind of experience it along with us.
Yeah, I think it's kind of fun that he has to kind of go back and relive, like watch himself do those things, and it's very funny.
Mm-hmm.
So I have some bad news for you in terms of this will be the last time that Willow makes an appearance on Angel.
Yeah, it's understandable. I think there's still lots of big important things happening on the Buffy series that are going to be going down.
Yes, I am kind of surprised that she never came back in season 5 because Buffy had ended at that point, so you would have thought it would have been easier to bring her back for an episode or two, but they don't.
Possibly. Um, Again, I can't remember the specific details, but I do know that she worked on a couple of fairly bigger shows that were coming up at around the time, I believe, but I'm not exactly sure when the show would have started or when she would have started working on them. But she's been fairly busy, I'm sure, after the Buffy series ended.
Oh yeah, no, she was in How I Met Your Mother, but I think that's like 2005 ish.
Okay, so a year or two.
But
So
I could be wrong because I never watched that show.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, I think maybe with the time period,
2005.
just to maybe get the stuff started, just with time period we're sitting in, that would probably sort of mix into the. Yeah, it would have been nice to maybe have her back, but she probably would have had her plate filled with other things going on.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of small roles, but nothing major up until like. It's also possible that she just wanted to take some time off. Like,
Also true. Also true.
in all fairness, she had done 7 seasons of Buffy and with basically no break, as well as doing some movies in there too. So, fair enough. Um, yeah, I this was a fun episode, and well, I don't know if "fun's" the right word, but it was a good episode, and I enjoyed it a lot.
Indeed.
Yes. So next week we'll be discussing the episode. Oh, actually, we should quickly do some international titles
Ooh,
because we
anything
haven't done
interesting?
that. Let me pull it up here, and we'll see if we have anything fun. So international titles for this episode. Doop 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 doop. There is nothing really for this episode. They all are basically Orpheus.
Yeah, I suppose there's nothing really much that you can kind of do aside from mention the title and or supposedly just land a giant big spoiler in it.
Yeah. The interesting thing is, do you remember the episode "Are You Now or Have You Ever Been"?
Possibly, but
Okay.
not off the title.
So that was the episode. It's I want to say the first or second episode of season 2, It's the one where we see flashbacks to Angel in the 50s in the hotel.
Yes, with those ones.
Okay, so they were the original idea was to use to have Angel and Faith relive scenes from that, but unfortunately it was cut due to time constraints.
Okay.
This episode, here's another fun little trivia fact, has the distinction of its original airing was cut short because the network cut to coverage that the U.S. had just invaded Iraq.
Yeah, that's understandable.
And, super fun. Okay, so next episode we'll be discussing is called Players. Okay. Angel and the gang set out to find out as much as they can about Cordelia's pregnancy and the identity of the beast's master, while Gwen enlists Gunn's help to crash a black tie affair and rescue a kidnapped girl.
Kind of the A-B plot sort of storyline.
Yes, so there's a little B plot with Gwen and Gunn going on a mission to rescue someone, and then we're also going to have kind of the more, I guess you would say, like, lore heavy part of them trying to figure out Cordelia's pregnancy and who is the beast's master. So this should be fun, and I'm sure it will not in any way involve a magic 8-ball.
That's an oddly specific thing to bring up.
Anyway, until next time, I'm Paul.
I'm Dave.